This is Cam Weiland, and you're listening to the 98th episode of the Wordplay Podcast. Sometimes one of the most frustrating things about writing a novel is the fact that it takes so long. From outline to completed first draft, my novels usually take upwards of 3 years. In one sense, of course, this is fabulous, since it allows us to spend some serious quality time with our characters. Since saying goodbye to our imaginary friends is always difficult, it's great to know they'll be with us for a while. But, by the same token, the large amount of time spent focused on one story can sometimes leave us fidgety to start on something new. I experienced a bit of that this week when a new story idea blossomed, begging to be written, and I had to push it onto the back burner while I continue writing my historical work in progress, The Deepest Breath. It isn't that we love our current stories any less, it's just that those new ideas are always tantalizing in all their glitter. Also, I suspect we always have this tendency to think the next story will be easier to write. You'd think the fact that it never turns out that way would teach us to know better. Why you should spend more time on character than action. The latest post in the video series on my blog shows how the classic action thriller Jurassic Park achieved lasting success through its attention to character. You can watch the video on my blog at wordplay-kmwyland, that's weiland.blogspot.com. New videos are posted every Wednesday. Meanwhile, enjoy this week's podcast, The Kung Fu Panda Guide to Writing Action Scenes. You don't have to love Kung Fu to enjoy a good action scene, but you do need to understand the basics of this integral type of scene if you're going to blind readers from overexposure to your action awesomeness. Fight scenes, chase scenes, and other action extravaganzas appear in stories of every genre, so consider the following to make sure yours are legendary. Realize spectacle doesn't translate well to the page.
It mattered not how many foes he faced. They were no match for his bodacity.
Action scenes are the stock in trade of Hollywood's summer blockbusters. But the likes of Kung Fu Panda, or The Matrix, or Star Wars can't use extravagant visuals to wow readers on the page. Describing in detail the flying fists and impressive footwork of a kung fu battle just isn't quite as spectacular on the page. Authors need to recognize this limitation and work around it. Make it about the characters.
You? Him? He's a panda. You're a panda. What are you going to do, big guy? Sit on me?
If you've stuck in an action scene just because it's cool, or just because you feel you're supposed to have an action scene about now, it's probably going to fall flat. Action, no matter what form it takes, must advance the plot and deepen characterization. The interaction between the protagonist and his opponent must go deeper than just exchanged blows. Who are these people? Why are they fighting? And what does their fight tell you about them and their relationship? Utilize dialogue.
The warrior said nothing, for his mouth was full. Then he swallowed. And then he spoke. Enough talk. Let's fight.
Action movies can sometimes get away without much in the way of dialogue, since the visual representation of the action is enough to carry the story. In The Bourne Supremacy, Jason Bourne hardly says anything throughout the movie's second half. But in written fiction, dialogue is the most vibrant part of storytelling. Make sure you use it to your advantage by breaking up descriptions of action with story-advancing and scintillatingly witty dialogue. Up the tension by increasing the odds.
You can't defeat me. You're just a big, fat panda.
Even the Man of Steel needed a weakness to keep audiences from growing complacent with his inevitable victories. Your hero should rarely, if ever, have the advantage in a fight. Give him a weakness, mentally, morally, or physically, that will make readers fearful he won't win. Know your stuff.
I just ate, so I'm still digesting, so my kung fu might not be as good as later on.
Whether you're writing about warfare in the Middle Ages, urban street fighting, or an entirely original form of martial arts, do your research. Not everyone is going to be able to spot the inconsistencies, but some readers will. And if it's obvious you don't know the difference between a back fist and a shadowless kick, readers who do know will drop your book in disgust. Choreograph the moves.
I don't know if I can do all of those moves.
Sometimes it's impossible to accurately visualize the intricacies of a fight scene. Sometimes we just have to get out of the chair, grab a prop or two, and block them out for ourselves. Just make sure you draw the blinds so the neighbors don't call the cops. Make your scenes unique.
You never seen bear style.
Action scenes can quickly take on a been there, done that feel, from book to book and within the same book. Strive to give your action scenes a unique element or slant. If, when you reread it, it feels just like that last action blockbuster you saw, it's probably cliched at best. Action scenes, just like dialogue, must avoid repetition under threat of reader boredom. Shorten your sentences.
Skadoosh.
Ramp up the speed and excitement in your action scenes by choosing short, punchy words and rapid-fire sentences. Vary your short sentences with the occasional compound or complex sentence, so readers don't feel you're bludgeoning them. But if you find your fight scene slogging along, the slow pacing is likely due to overweight phrasing. Know what not to show.
Legend tells of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend.
Fights don't need to be blow for blow. Just show us the high points. Except for moments when you're slowing down the pacing for emphasis' sake, we don't need to see the character's muscles tightening, his fingers curling into his fist, his hand drawing back and then swinging forward to connect with the opponent's nose, knocking him slobberless. Sometimes you're better off summarizing your character's brilliant moves. Just say the white hat hits the black hat, and you'll be good to go. Action scenes can be more fun than slurping a bowl of noodles. Study to become a master of these finer points of the action, so your readers can share your fun. Thank you for listening to the Wordplay Podcast. To read a transcript of this episode, visit me on the web at wordplay-kmwyland, that's weiland.blogspot.com, and be sure to listen again next week.